coordinator. Hang on, I've just got to sign off on the recording. I'm the course coordinator for the Masters of Pastoral Counselling, which also has the exit point of the grad dip of pastoral counselling and the graduate certificate of pastoral counselling. And I lecture in 2 of the subjects within that program.
Wonderful. Well, glad you can join us live. And Jeanette, would you like to press record? In fact, I'm wondering if it's better if you do it since it's your Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. So I have actually started the recording.
Oh, it's already started. Okay, there we go. We're off and away. Well, again, welcome everyone that here live and also those that are watching this after the fact. We're gonna start off by, we've already done some introductions kind of in-house already, but I want to also introduce you to some of our faculty who aren't with us tonight, but some of whom you will come across in your studies. There is the Reverend Dr. Andrew Cameron, who is our current director at St. Mark's. And he is also a lecturer in theological ethics like myself, although he actually won't be lecturing in any subjects this coming semester, but you might see him around at some of our events or perhaps on campus if you drop by. You've already met Reverend Dr. Jeanette Matthews, who's our Old Testament lecturer and also currently serving as our head of school. You also met me. I'm Old News. I'm currently acting as the course director, but the real course director is my colleague, Dr. Bernard Doherty. He'll be returning or back in the saddle, as my people say, in November. So he'll, in the longer term, be your point person for questions about the progression of your studies. Next week, well, again, Sue Olds, also Old News. She's here with us tonight. Again, heads up our pastoral counseling courses. My colleague David Neville unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. He's actually unwell with the flu. He was going to join us on Zoom. He actually lives in the Gold Coast, but he is our New Testament lecturer. So if you're in any New Testament subjects, he's likely to be your instructor. My colleague Dr. Michael Gladwin is our church history lecturer. Also oversees our higher degree research and our doctoral studies. So if you progress that far, you will be interacting and engaging with him. Also, my colleague, Dr. Jackie Service, is our lecturer in systematic theology and also our BTH coordinator. So if you're in the BTH program, again, she'll at least currently be your point person for that. And then I think this is last but not least, Reverend Dr. Jeff Broughton is, like me, also in the practical theology space and especially known for his professional supervision subjects that he heads up. So that's our whirlwind tour of our faculty. I want to say a word about theology itself. So the actual word theology comes from a combination of the Greek word theos, which means God, and then the Greek word logos, which literally means word, but can also refer to teaching or an account. So joined up together, theology is literally the study of God, parallels the names of other disciplines, such as biology, which is the study of life. And speaking of disciplines, there is, I think, a worthwhile connection to make here between 2 words. The word disciple, which often used to describe a follower of Christ. A disciple that word is closely related to the word discipline. So there is an integral link between being a disciple, a student of Christ, and being a student, being one who is disciplined and who studies and who learns and who grows. And having said that, it's the case that not necessarily all of our students at St. Mark's are committed Christians, but our hope is that in your course of studies, you'll appreciate the integral link between Christian faith and this dynamic nature of study and growth and of learning. Couple other things to note about theology as a discipline of study. Like other disciplines, it shares some commonalities. So it's characterized by a kind of rigor of research and of thinking. Again, like other disciplines, it involves asking questions, it involves researching, it involves situating what you're saying in relation to others, and also giving due credit to others and to their ideas and their thoughts. It also involves testing your own assumptions, exploring and entertaining ideas that you haven't had before or that you might even reject, and being critical. So it shares, again, these kind of common rigorous natures with other disciplines of study, but there are some things that distinguish theology from other disciplines. One is, as your slide says, it's relevant to the deepest beliefs and practices that humans hold dear, and it combines both faith and life, and also thinking and study. And also, last but not least, but the subject of study makes theology stand out from other disciplines. Unlike other disciplines, theology is a discipline in which the subject that you are studying actually studies you. And humans are ultimately reliant on God's self-revelation in order to know anything about God. And again, having said that, not all theologians are necessarily Christians, or not all theologians actually believe in God. Everyone's a theologian because everyone has thoughts about God. Atheists just think that God doesn't exist. So everyone is a theologian, whether they realize it or not. And the goal of theology is to just interrogate and to know well why you have the beliefs that you do about God and how that impacts your life.
And Amy, if I could just jump in for a moment, because I teach Old Testament, obviously one of our conversation partners are the people who have a Jewish faith. So when
Right.
not everybody has a Christian faith, but we are joining together to study what we know, what we can find out about God through the biblical tradition in my subdiscipline. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well put. Yeah, thanks for that. There's kind of room for interreligious dialogue, for sure. And within theology, there's several subdisciplines. These four are kind of the most commonly recognized or sort of distinct. Biblical studies takes as its focus the Bible as a key and primary source for knowledge about God. So, of course, Jeanette is a teacher on the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. Again, David Neville in the New Testament. So there's sort of divisions within biblical studies. But again, on the whole, biblical studies is going to focus on the Bible as a primary source. Doesn't mean that the other subdisciplines don't engage it, but in not quite the same way. There's also church history, which of course explores the history of the church and God's action through and in, and often despite God's people. There's systematic theology, which tries to take a step back and kind of take stock of sort of the whole and figure out how certain beliefs kind of interrelate to one another in a sort of consistent and coherent way. And then last but not least, there's practical theology, which considers in what way these beliefs end up hitting the ground in the life of people and of the church. And ethics is closely tied to this as well. So we've designed our BTH and some of our other programs to give you a kind of robust sampling and grounding in all of these subdisciplines, and just some of the subjects are listed there. So you're likely to come across a number of these subdisciplines within your own studies.
So the subjects listed here are the ones that are being taught in second session. So we have two main teaching sessions each year, and the subjects sort of rotate around those sessions. And of course, if you're studying in the pastoral counselling suite, you won't have these subjects at all. But these are some of the foundational subjects for the Bachelor of Theology, the Master of Arts in Theological Studies, the Graduate Diploma of Theology. So we have introduction subjects at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. So if you're a postgraduate student, most of your subjects will start with a 4, and if you're an undergraduate in the early days, they'll start with a 1, and then later a 2 and a 3.
Thanks for
if you've got any questions, feel free to jump in and ask, by the way.
Yeah, please do. For a resource that explores into more detail sort of the nature of theological study, this book, God by Degrees, is put together by a number of faculty of St. Mark's, and it's available through our website. I assume through our library as well. I actually take one of these readings and have it available on my I2 site that Andrew wrote about referencing and sort of almost the theology of referencing and citations and being consistent about giving credit where credit is due. So if you're interested, be sure to check out that resource. And if you'd like, I can point you to the direction of the part of our website that makes it available. A bit more about being a student at St. Mark's and being a part of our community. in a second, I'll actually show a look at our website, but we've also got a Facebook page. I'm actually not on Facebook, so I don't know where it is, but I trust that it's findable if you are a Facebook person. We have weekly rhythms of prayer throughout the semester. And again, in a second, I'll show you on our website where you can access the Zoom link to join us in prayer. I know everyone here is going to be a distance student for the most part. So that is one way that you can engage with our community live, even from afar. Likewise, we also often have public lectures throughout the year, and sometimes you're able to join these live, but if not, we often post a recording. And in fact, we had a wonderful lecture last week by one of our former doctoral students, and that's going to be made available shortly online as well. Be sure to familiarize yourself with our library, and don't hesitate to get in touch with our librarian. Lauren Pickering is a great resource, and be sure to reach out to her if you have any questions or issues with accessing and locating resources for your assessments. And something to flag here, every year we have an awards ceremony, and students that have especially excelled in their studies in certain sort of domains are eligible for our academic prizes. So that's something to be thinking about and be on the lookout for as well.
Could I jump in again, Amy, just to
Please.
talk about the structure of the School of Theology, because it's a little bit complicated. We are a school within Charles Sturt University, and we're made up. We're a partner with the university, so we're not. We are part of the Faculty of Arts and Education, but we sit a little bit off to the side, in that we're not. We lecturers are not paid by the university. We're paid by the church groups that sponsor the school, and that's two church organisations: the Anglican Church of the Diocese of Canberra and Goulburn, and that's where St Mark's is located. St Mark's used to be the training school place for all Anglican clergy, and it still has a role in that, but we also have joined this Ecumenical School of Theology, and the other partner is in Sydney at the United Church Training College in Parramatta. So if you're a distance student, or if you're studying pastoral counselling, or if you live in Canberra, then you're part of the St Mark's community. We kind of look after you as students. Some of the people that come to the UTC, the United Church College, are people who are based in Sydney, or who are studying ordination through the Uniting Church. And then, just to complicate things a little bit more, we have a third partner in the school, which is an Anglican school in Hong Kong called Minghua. So we don't have very much day-to-day connection with them, but they are also learning. Often students are learning the same subjects as we teach here in Australia through that school.
Great, thanks for that, Jeanette. It can be pretty complicated, the different sort of institutional alignments that we sit with. I'm going to pause from the PowerPoint to show you our website. So let me make sure I have the right thing on here. So I won't poke around exhaustively. I encourage you to check it out. But at the top here, the main banner, there'll be some main events, like there's the orientation for today. There's also, if you click here, it will take you to the link to the morning prayer link for joining us by Zoom. Also, that says Wednesdays from 10:30 to 10:45, but it's actually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays during the term time during the semesters when we have morning prayer. And if you're on campus with us, usually we break afterwards for tea and sometimes some snacks. I also recommend, if you haven't already, scroll down to the bottom of our website and pop in your email, and that will put you on our newsletter list and keep you up to date with different events and other things that we have going on. Again, this is a place to be looking for recording. So this is the event that I referred to last week that should be available soon as a recording. There was something else I was going to show on this, and now I'm not remembering. Oh, there's actually, I think my Zoom banner is in the way, but there's a button, I think, up here for the library. So that will take you to our library page and the contact for our librarian.
And perhaps to show the student center as well. We can see that I'm not sure if you can see it. But...
Dang it, it's let's see, Zoom is in my way.
You should be able to move your Zoom banner down, I think.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, yep, there's our student center. There's a PDF for our student handbook, some tips on study skills, key dates. I think, where is our semester timetable? I imagine
timetable is there in that black
right
box
here. So textbooks, subject enrollments. But yeah, this timetable is a really handy one to bookmark and to look at, although why is it not populating?
So important for the students in the pastoral counselling courses who have compulsory intensives, and we have those dates are up at the beginning of the year for the whole year, so you can plan your time to come here for intensives. And then if you're studying by distance, you might want to join into classes in the live. They're recorded, but they're live streamed as well, and you can look at the timetable and see where those classes are. And the other thing that that we try to help students with is putting a book list up a few weeks before session starts, because in the CSU website, you can only get access to your books when, or to what your textbooks are going to be when your subject outlines are published, which is 2 weeks before the beginning of session. So sometimes that's when you're relying on sending away and having them posted to you, it can be a little difficult. So we try and put our textbook list up well ahead of the beginning of session as well.
And here's the timetable for classes this semester. Also note that on the first Wednesday of each month for our post-grad students, we have a post-grad seminar. And then this semester on Thursday evenings, we're going to be hosting a number of events on campus. And again, this will mostly pertain to those of you, or well, I guess most of you are going to be distant students, but on occasion, there might be some events on Thursday evenings that we'll stream or record and make available online.
And then Madel will be interested as well, because you are moving to Canberra, you said.
Yes. Yeah. So stay tuned. Oh, I guess our intensives might have moved. I know I've seen our intensive schedule, but it might not be in that location. But as you can tell, there's a couple of things to click on here as it relates to scheduling. And
look in there, CSU, try that link there.
Which one? Sorry.
Just where it said CSU. No, just go back.
Oh, yes, here we are. That must be it. Here we are. Yeah. So here are intensives. So especially for the pastoral counseling classes.
Perhaps Sue could just say something about that while we're just looking at this, just why we do it this way.
Yeah. I'm actually finishing up day one of a 4-day one today. So a main reason is that we have interest really all around Australia for this course. So you can imagine it'd be very hard to attend in person the skills that we need to learn really in a face-to-face format to sit with people in counselling. So what we do is we bunch the skills up within the intensives so people can come, do the intensive, learn their skills, and then go do the rest of the learning through distance and practice the skills with people that they're in contact with within their own networks, family, friends, willing volunteers, and sometimes students will hook up with each other to practice. So that's really the idea behind the intensives. It's making it easier for people that are interested in our course to study with us, but also you need to learn the skills of counselling face-to-face. It is possible to do it online, but you also need to learn how to sit with people in a room. And in COVID, when we had to do it just online, people didn't really know how to translate that into the room with people. So we're actually teaching a bit of both now, but fundamentally the best way to learn skills is in the room in skills practices.
Great, thanks for that, Sue. And you can tell what our upcoming, at least right now we're obviously in June and July, but August is going to be our next round of intensives, and watch this space for future offerings. Well, that's our whirlwind tour of our website. I'm going to shift back to my Zoom or my PowerPoint, although we aren't done yet with looking at different websites. I'll turn back to an I2 site in a second. But let me just discuss a little bit the blended or hybrid learning that we do, that is offerings both online and in person at St. Mark's. So again, from almost all of you, you're mostly going to be an online student, and you can, depending on this schedule and your compatibility with when subjects are being offered, you can join live by Zoom, or if your schedule conflicts with the timetable, all of our subjects are going to be recorded and then posted and made available through your I2 site. And I'll show you in a second where you can access those. So obviously, even if you are able to join live most of the time, but you find you're going to be away for a week or two, that's a way you can stay on top of your classwork. And then again, if you do happen to find yourself in Canberra or want to just stop by sometime, you're obviously welcome to join us live in the classroom too for a subject. But pretty much even if you are in person in a class, almost all of the sort of interactions and assessments we do are done online. So you'll submit all of your assessments through your portal, which again, I'll point out to you in a second. You might, depending on your class, have forums to interact with other students on, again, all through your I2 site or your Interact2 site, which is our main learning platform that we use. And the I2 site is also where you will submit different forms or requests. If, for example, you have to request an extension on an assessment or something else in relation to your studies, that portal is going to be kind of a one-stop shop for your interaction with both us and then with CSU. So let me actually turn now and show you an I2 site. I'm actually going to show you mine. If I can get it up here. Or actually, before I do that, what I'll do is I want to show you the portal. So if you go to, hopefully you should by now have access to, again, what we call your Interact2 website. So you go to interact2.csu.edu.au and log in. Go to this top right here and click on Student Portal. Again, this is going to be a great one-stop shop for you. On this left-hand side, there's going to be, under My Checkpoints, all kinds of good kind of general information for you. Stuff around your particular course and fees. Also highly recommend checking out this learning skills section. There's a wealth of resources that CSU offers. They even offer different tutorials about different study skills. You can even submit an assessment to someone at CSU in advance of your due date, and they'll proofread it and give you feedback. Lots of stuff about writing, all the way to grammar and spelling, to structuring a paper and taking notes and reading well. So definitely avail yourself of that as a resource. I try to make sure to orient my students to that at the beginning of the semester. A couple of things you can explore here, but this under here, My Requests, that find a form is going to be really useful. Again, if you want to do something like ask to change to a different course. Maybe you're in one of our grad cert programs, but you want to move up and do a full diploma or master's. That's a way you request to do that. Again, this is also where you'll request an extension or put in information if there's reasons why you have to delay your studies. So again, most forms or requests that you have to do institutionally are going to be at that point in the portal. Now let me show you an example of an I2 site for one of your subjects. So in this case, I'm going to share my own practical theology subject that I'm teaching this semester. You definitely want to go to the subject outline on the left-hand side. If you click on that, I won't download it now. Oops, is it going to show? There's some things that actually it doesn't want to show in the student preview mode. But here, you know what? Oh, here it is showing it. What you want to do, I recommend downloading the PDF. So the subject outline is basically your syllabus. That's going to have pretty comprehensive information about things like textbook schedule, policies around submission deadlines for your assessments. So make sure that you familiarize yourself with that as soon as possible. So if you haven't already, I recommend that you do that for the subjects that you're enrolled in this semester. Let me go back If you click on East, I'm not going to click on it because it's actually not going to show you because I'm in a student preview mode here, but East is where you're going to submit your assessments. So most of your assessments in the School of Theology are going to be papers. We very rarely have tests or quizzes unless you're taking a biblical languages subject with us. So that's where you're going to upload and submit your assessments. So follow the directions there. My grades obviously is where you'll see your final grades. This reading and resources tab, if you click on that, it will take you to what's called the Leganto reading list. So if you almost a good portion of your readings, assigned readings, are going to be available through that reading list, unless you have a hard copy textbook that you're mostly using in your class. So for example, for me in this particular class, I actually don't have a textbook. All my readings are chapters from or essays from different books, and they're all made available through the library and online on that tab right there. I've been a little bit remiss, and I only have one of my topic tabs up, but most of your courses will have all the topics. So in other words, for each week of study, there'll be a separate page with more detail about what you'll cover in class that particular week and maybe what your assigned readings are. So that will help kind of map out the different weeks and the content that you'll cover, and maybe even flag some due dates for you. I realize I've skipped over a very important link, which is the one up here, your online meeting or Zoom link. Let me click on that. I think this will show you what it looks like. So I haven't keyed in yet my meeting times for my practical theology class, but this upcoming meetings tab will show you the Zoom link for you to join for your live Zoom sessions. If you're not able to join live and you want to watch a recording, if you click to this cloud recordings tab, that will show the links for all previously recorded sessions. Oops, let's see. Jeanette or Sue, did either of you want to point out anything that I might have overlooked on the I2 site that might be useful to point out?
Sometimes we use these supplementary resources. I think it's still the case that we can't put copyright material in the discussion board, so it should be put there. That used to be the case anyway.
And I happen to have the discussion board inactivated because I don't use it in this particular class, but the discussion board link would be right under learning community here as well. So that'd be another tab to be on the lookout for if that's a component to your subject and classwork.
And I put my PowerPoints in the supplementary resources as well.
Let me toggle back now to the PowerPoint. Speaking of tips for being successful at study, highly recommend that you literally schedule and block out time for study. On average, we recommend 10 to 12 hours per week per subject. Obviously, each week might be a little bit different. Some weeks are going to be heavier than others, especially depending on when assessments are due. But make sure that you plan and in advance and be proactive about carving out time for your studies. Also, and I think this is all the more important for online study, make sure that you make physical space for yourself as much as you can. Set up a desk in a room or have a coffee shop or a library spot. Do everything you can to make it a welcoming and inviting place for you to study. Try to eliminate distracting noise, put on music that you find that helps you concentrate, whatever you can control, and whatever's in your power to create a welcoming, inviting space for you to focus and study will go a really long way and pay dividends in the long run. Sometimes I think online study can be a little bit deceptive because it seems flexible and easy and accessible, but to the same degree that it's flexible and accessible, you then have to be all the more proactive about being intentional about carving out that time and space in order to study well. So don't let it fall to just kind of haphazard planning. Again, be intentional and proactive from the get-go. Make sure also that you use really good resources, obviously textbooks and assigned readings from your lecturer, but use those resources that I just pointed out through CSU. Use our library to make sure that you're accessing quality resources. Don't just plug stuff into Google, and don't use ChatGPT. It doesn't know what it's talking about. If you use the Theology tab in the CSU library databases, those will link up with a wealth of peer-reviewed resources. And again, there are some videos in the CSU resources I pointed out that give you tips about how to search well. And again, reach out to our own librarians for tips as well. But life isn't all about study, not even the study of God. Make sure that you have a healthy balance of study and work, but also family, friends, and fun too. Make sure that you give your brain a break, and again, have a healthy kind of work-life balance. And especially, again, I think this is really important for those of you that are online and distance and maybe don't have as much opportunity to connect with other students. As much as you can, engage with us in public lectures, or our prayer, or maybe even there might be theological events in your own city that can just really supplement and enrich your own study and reading and writing. A couple more tips about successful study. One is know yourself, know your own work habits and what things help you to work well. And as much as you can, leverage and maximize those. So for example, for me, I know I do my best work in the morning. So I try as best as I can to protect that time for more concentrated activities like reading and writing and thinking. And then I try to cram my afternoons more with things like meetings or with emails. So as much as you can control your schedule or adapt it to align with kind of your, again, work habits, do that. Make sure from the as soon as possible. So for those of you on Zoom right now, almost, make sure that you take a look at the assessment schedule in your subjects and plan those out, and plan out time in advance to get your reading and writing done by those deadlines. The more you can have more time to kind of brainstorm and mull over the topics or subjects for your assessments, the better. Give yourself time to write drafts that you can then proofread. It's ideal that you write a draft and even walk away from it for a day and then return to it with fresh eyes. Also, if you draft an essay in advance, then you can submit it to CSU and get someone there to proofread it for you and return it in time for you to submit. And then also this last or second to last bullet point, when you read the Bible, note what is actually there. It can be really easy in theology, especially if you have maybe grown up in the church. It can be really easy to sort of project what you think is in the text onto it and miss what's actually there. Sometimes we just can't even see our own blind spot. So make sure that you actually really read carefully both the Bible and any other text that you're reading. Don't make assumptions, and watch out for what you might kind of naturally kind of skip or gloss over. Does anyone else want to offer any other tips or hints for how to study well? And maybe I'll stop sharing so we can see each other better.
Something that I often say is that I'm a real list maker, and I like to have small sort of achievable goals. So when I'm studying, and I did study a subject last year actually with CSU, I'll kind of make myself a list of short-term goals, and I get a lot of satisfaction ticking those off. So it's sort of knowing what you find the most motivating is a really good thing to be aware of. Amy,
oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say we've had Rochelle and Victoria join us. Thank you very much for coming, and again, apologies that I misinformed you about the time, but we have recorded this session from the beginning, so you'll be able to go back and check from the beginning. But welcome to us.
Oh, thanks, Jeanette. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, how do you get the video? How do you see that recording?
It'll be available to you, I think, on your student site, but we'll make sure we send it out in an announcement as well to all students.
Thanks.
Hi, Rochelle.
Hi.
Victoria and Rochelle, do you want to just tell us where you're zooming in from?
I'm Campbelltown, New South Wales.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm Torella in Sydney, so not
Okay.
far from Rochelle, I think.
Yeah.
Hi.
So sorry to interrupt, Amy, but
Oh, not at all.
yes.
No.
I think we also, because we're going to be probably cut off at about 7, it might be good to also just offer the time for people to ask any questions about anything you've said or that we haven't made clear, or that
Yes,
we've
maybe
got a
let
few
me
different
just let me say
programs.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me just say one last thing, and then let's open up for Q&A. But actually, I was sitting with a student not long ago who was near the end of their BTH and trying to kind of puzzle through the last subjects that had to be taken to fulfill the degree requirements in light of what was being offered. And I pointed out this one link that I'm about to put in on your chat box about it's a web page that shows kind of our semester rotation of offerings every 2 years, certain odd years and even years, and certain semesters we tend to offer certain subjects. And she said, I wish someone had told me about this earlier. No one told me about this webpage. So I'm telling you now, this is just for the long term, for planning your degree and making sure that you fulfill the requirements in light of what we tend to have offered at certain times. Obviously, there might be certain changes certain years, but that might be worth just bookmarking and being aware of. And likewise, this link too is another CSU resource it's a tool that helps you plan your degree and make sure that you get all of your requirements checked off. So I just want to drop those 2 links there for you, or just make you aware that those are available as you continue to progress in your course. But yeah, in the remaining time we have before we potentially get kicked off Zoom, please fire away any questions at us that you have in light of what we've just, our whirlwind tour.
And I might just say, Amy, in the light of that second link you've put there, because I did say right at the beginning that we're a partner school with CSU, and they don't always get theology. So please use us as your,
Right.
if you're a bit confused, don't hesitate to reach out to your course advisor. So Sue's the course advisor for the pastoral counselling courses, and Amy and I are both able to be contact people as well, but we can certainly put you in the right with the right person who can advise you on your course. But we'll have the best knowledge rather than the general people at CSU about how to structure your course.
Those are just tools, but they're not gospel truth.
I feel like we've bombarded you with a lot of information, but
Or maybe we were just so crystal clear. There's no questions.
I guess
you could
for myself, because I'm returning, a lot of it's familiar. I was studying for a few years and I've just had a break and coming back again.
Great.
Good. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Medell, what subjects are you taking in this session?
This one I'm doing just the one subject, research methods.
Great. And I think we've got 3 undergraduate certificate, 2 or 3 students with the undergraduate, Sam and Medell, I think. So you'd probably be taking the Introduction to New Testament Studies, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll love that with David Neville. He's a terrific lecturer and very, very knowledgeable about his subjects and very, very thorough too. Okay.
Well, certainly, even if you don't have any questions right now, but if you're lying awake tonight and think, oh no, I should have asked that question, by all means get in touch with us. We're just an email away. So please, let us know if you've got any questions that crop up now before the semester or once it gets underway.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Amy, for running us through that information. Susan, have you got a question?
Oh, I'm just presuming that this is instead of the 7 o'clock meeting now, because I said I had to go early. Because I had 2 emails, one was 7, one was 6. So
yes, I know. Look, I'm really sorry. That was my
that's
mistake.
fine. I'm glad I registered for both.
Yeah. Yes, this is so what happens is with that CSU invite us to be part of their orientation sort of system, but we've found each year that not everybody who's starting in our courses manages to get that information. So we generally send out another bit of information to students that we can identify as starting in the course. But unfortunately, the two emails didn't coincide in terms of time. So I'm really sorry about
No, it was very helpful just learning all the
Victoria, particularly as someone who's coming in, I presume, new to our courses. You might want to go back and look at the recording to see what Amy said from the beginning.
I definitely do that. I mean, I noticed in the email you sent there was an alternative time of Wednesday, the 5th of July, 12:30 to 1:30. Is that still...
Yes, we're planning to run through this again at that time. So if you want to join in on Wednesday, that'll probably be me doing that. But yes, you'd be very welcome to.
Thank you. Would that be through the same link as this one, or would you be?
I believe it's a different one.
Yeah, it might be a different link, but it should have come out. I'm not sure there's going to be very many that have coming on to that, but we can certainly have a chat even if it was just you and me on Wednesday. So that would be fine. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming along. And as Amy said, we're very happy to answer any questions that come up that you think of later on. So just be in touch with us. I think most of you have my email address at least, and very happy to respond to you. And if you've forgotten who's the course advisor for your course, just let us know. We'll put you in touch with the right person. So I might stop the recording, and we look forward to seeing you in the due course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. It's very exciting.
Yeah.